Hello, I am Dr. Rajan Dubey, and I wish to speak today about the introduction of community workers in the facility settings in Indian hospitals, that is, the government hospitals of India. This particular experience that I am going to share with you was done in EAG states, that is, except for the Uttar Pradesh, that is in Rajasthan, Orissa, Bihar and Madhya Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh was not there. EAG is a term that is used for Empowered Action Group states, that is for 5 states. I was working as a state head for Norway India Partnership Development Program at that time from the United Nations Office for Projects and Services. I would like to tell you how and we have conceived this particular idea and how we have implemented and what are the challenges behind it and what we have achieved. I would like to share some brief points with you, and you can always ask questions on me regarding that. The worker that I'm saying, the community worker, we have named it as Yashoda. Yashoda in the name of the legendary figure that cared for the children of other and even gave it more love and affection than his own children. So that's why we have named this particular worker as woman, Yashoda. The need of a community worker in hospital settings. What we have understood, the particular concept when was written, I was the part of it. I have contributed into the guidelines of implementation of this program as well as into the thought process that goes on into why the introduction of this is needed. My first point was that the facility settings in India, especially the hospital settings, are very alien to the community that is approaching it. It is poorest of the poor that reached the hospitals after the introduction of JSY, Janani Suraksha Yojana in 2005, wherein the conditional cash transfers were done to the women. And there were many people, those who were trying to object to things like why they want to give the money to the women, they'll produce more children, and all sorts of things were said. But we were very confident that this will work. But then later on, the system must have evolved. The system should have evolved to take care of those women that are coming to the institution in terms of quality of care, in terms of the services. But the infrastructure and the health services and the personnel part was lacking. We were lacking behind into the system. The amount of people that were coming were too much to be serviced. So the quality of care was questioned at most of the time. The surveys that when the NRHM, when it used to do some sort of analysis, it was not showing. And the kind of the commensurate institutional delivery that was told as the panacea for all of us was actually not happening in terms of the indicators. Let's say MMR reduction, the first hour of breastfeeding, the child birth dose immunization, they were not happening. So we were trying to find out a solution to it rather than giving it any negative thought. We thought that a woman is staying, even the questions were raised about the woman not staying there for 3 days. So the entire benefit package was not actually being delivered to the hospital. So we understand that the woman could not stay there. There was overcrowding. The women were lying on the floor. The hospital personnel were already overburdened. The doctors were less in number. The institutions were flooded with our women. So we tried to introduce a community worker, but now the question comes as the community worker was already there. Asha was already there. Why we cannot use her? Yes. But the concept of ASHA, as we understand in its beginning, ASHA was a voluntary worker. Accredited Social Health Activist, the acronym we created, ASHA, ASHA. In Hindi, it may be even told as hope. Yes, she is a hope. She is still a hope. But the problem is, Asha is a voluntary worker. She's a mother of that particular village. She has to travel to the institution to help the mother reach to the institution. The problem is, later on, the guidelines started treating her as if she's a worker. Then telling a woman to leave her home, her work and everything, and that to a volunteer worker, to coming down to the institution and stay with the mother for 3 days was too much. It shouldn't be expected from that mother. She has her own work. She has just been asked by us, program leaders. I was the one who was designed and trying to take work from that worker. I'm trying to help, take the help. She is the mother. I cannot ask her to leave her home and her own children and take care of someone else. This is not ethically right. And she is traveling on the roads. She is traveling everywhere without any support. And she has to stay in the hospital, which has got no facilities for a stay or have any utilities that are being designed for her. So we try to understand that her role should be a carrier of a person. She's coming there. leaving the mother to the care of another community worker who is from there and understand the dialect, language, and the care of the mother at the same level, and then leave off back to her home and start working on other, because she is also working on other programs. Let's say, I'll give you an example. The mother has to deliver on Monday, and the Tuesday is the immunization day in her home, in her home village. And let's say it's a village health day, then she would be absent from there. Then what fun it is there to take her absent from her home. The village health day would be incomplete without her. She has an important role to play in village health day. So we envisaged a woman, Yashoda. No, the qualifications were almost similar, but we are trying to have a better one, and we have tried to take a mix of all the class of women. Let's say, I'll give you an example. Yashoda is a person, we understood, who is living inside the facility, whether it is a district hospital, whether it is a civil hospital, or whether it is a CMOC hospitals, community health center with providing CMOC services. We are not providing this worker to the BMOC services. Not the basic emergency obstetric and neonatology care, but the comprehensive emergency neonatology and neonatology care. Why? The number of institutions that are providing them are less, and they are the ones who are overburdened, and they are the ones who have to be traveled most distance from the original origin of the mother or the beneficiary. Now coming down to the second question. What this Yashoda worker is actually composed of. She is a woman, she is residing inside in and around that facility, and she is from age. We are preferring the mother that is actually a mother herself. So whose children are a bit older and she can take care, or the children can take care of themselves. Let's say, but we have decided that on the basis of number of beds and the number of delivery. So how we have calculated, I'll try to give you a number and the composition and as to how we have placed it. Let's say emergency ward of maternity care in any district hospital. Let's say I would say of one district hospital, that is Narsinghpur. Narsinghpur is a small district of 5 blocks near Jabalpur district. If you want to just locate it down into Madhya Pradesh, Narsinghpur district hospital, that is called as Chaudhary Shankarlal Dubey Jila Chikitsalaya, that is their district hospital, which is catering to around the population of 15 lakh of Narsinghpur district. It is the functional CMOC of that district. There were not any other CMOC that was operational in that district at that point of time when this particular scheme was started. So in 15 lakh population, the referral and all the referrals, usually the cesarean section referrals and all these referrals of complicated surgeries or the complicated deliveries were referred to the district hospital. Now the district hospital, let's say, has got 20 beds. 5 were shift bed, let's say 5 were on floor, and 20 was the official capacity of that district hospital to handle on that day. Fair. Now we are going to take the last 3-month delivery load of that institution. Now we are going to provide 1 worker per 5 beds. That is, every 8 hours duty the shift would change, and 1 worker would be available per 5 bed round the clock. So in 5 beds, mother were there, and let's say 3 workers are required. So in 5 beds, you are trying to give care by 1 person dedicatedly every 8 hours. So she is going to take care of the mother care. She is going to tell her how to eat after pregnancy. She is going to ensure that the 0 dose immunization happens by calling up the deputy child health supervisor, who was her supervisor, and a retired nurse, or the ANM, or the calling up the hospital immunization services workers. Even at night, we are going to provide 0 dose immunization of BCG, hepatitis B, and oral polio. Then comes the first hour breastfeeding, that is ensured even if the mother is in cesarean or is a normal delivery or an assisted delivery, she's going to ensure that the first hour breastfeeding is done. So along with this, when the child and the mother duo has come to the institution and she is in the her bed for 3 days, she is going to counsel and understand the worker and the mother and also the attendants that are coming with mother, to tell them how to take care of this mother and the child, whether there is any special need. If the child is low birth weight or having any problem, she has got associated sick newborn care units, SNCUs, that are being established at the district hospital level, which are going to take care of any child that is sick, neonate, I would say. So they are going to shift it there. They are going to call the doctor or the pediatrician. They know how to contact the SNCU doctor and can call them to the ward itself, or can take the child and the mother to the hospital. The burden is less. She's even supposed to assist the mother in going to the, let's say, her washroom or her follow-up checkings, and try to give that mother the check of JSY without any hassles of the institution, which almost all the time gets created. I would not like to speak much about it, but the entire function was a gelling function. Yes, the most important, if I try to summarize it, is a counseling function. The counseling function is gets neglected when my worker, that is nurse or ANM or my staff nurse, is overburdened, or the doctors are already overburdened and less in number. I would like to save them for their core functionalities where I cannot substitute them or cannot replace them. They are obviously irreplaceable. Their leadership is far much more important, but I have tried to give a nurse in aid. She is aiding a nurse in non-curative services. She is giving them, giving the mothers, the beneficiaries, the attendees, the SAS that is coming with the mother, or the mother's mother that is coming with her, how to take care of the mother and the child when they go back to home, how to come to the institution, how to complete the immunization schedule, how to take care of the child in case she has any special needs, how, if the mother has been diagnosed with any condition, how she's going to take care of her eating habits after delivery, and starting IFA tablets to every mother postpartum. Every child who is born to already low, I would say any mother who is anemic at that point of delivery already has given birth to a child who is low iron source in his body. So that has also been started by the pediatrician. So she will tell the importance of it, and she'll try to push in how to take these medicines. Then this duo was combined, and the financing was entirely voluntarily. This worker was not a permanent worker. This worker was permanently, the mother that is coming from institutions were permanently based on JSY only.
So what were the challenges in implementation of Yashoda, if you can throw some light on that?
Just 2 minutes. I'll explain on what are the challenges. The challenges was the moment you say into a government institution that you want to have someone inside the facility. The resistance comes from the core functionalities, the nurses, the doctors, the ANMs that are working. They are not comfortable to allow anyone who is outside the system, especially the community people, to enter inside the system. There are many things that they don't want to show to anyone. That is one of the issues. Even I would say most of the births, the child, if it has died during the delivery or after that, they would simply put it into the record as stillbirth. It happens most of the time. Yes, it happens. Most of the time they'll do it. So they're not like to show it to anyone else. That is one of the issues. Then the financial transactions that goes on inside, that will go open if a community worker is inside. That's the transparency would not be maintained then. Then what would happen? Then if it is not maintained, then someone else is coming inside the system to take part into that kind of financial transactions. That is a rampant issue there. And third is, there is someone who is going to call them up. There is something that is going to make them accountable at some point of time that makes them jittery. Yes. How we have solved it is a different issue. Then everybody will come up to the reservation system. Even in the voluntary system, they want to have a reservation system. Why do you want to have a reservation system which is a permanently non-permanent worker, which is just going to be a voluntary worker, which is just going to be a worker who is coming and you are not giving him any entitlement fee, or even the basic payments were not being ensured to that worker. If you want to see in that regard, we were trying to pay hardly 3,500 rupees as an honorarium to the services of that mother of the community, which is even lower than the basic payments of that institution. Even ASHA right now is at the highest level, can get only hardly 2,000 to 3,000 rupees, rather than even the basic minimum wages, if you try to calculate, would go more than 6,000 rupees a month, if you're even for a non-skilled person. So these all challenges come up. Then how to select, the nepotism inside the selection, then the training issues inside that selection, everything comes. And then the administrators at the highest level, at the state level and the national level, they get very annoyed with the things when you try to tell them that quality of care has to be improved, when you try to tell them that this particular worker is required there. Because they have a financial calculations to make, because as we have already discussed, that financial kitty at any point of time is not permanent. Let's say right now the NRHM is not getting the kind of kitty it was getting 1 year or 2 years back. It is getting cut down. So the kind of workers that we have placed at that point of time will be somehow discontinued, especially the managerial cadre, and which is the lowest cadre that is going to be discontinued. There have been many experiments in this country with the community health workers, and they always get discontinued because next year the planning hasn't come. Next year the financials have been down. So that is how the administrator's response was there. This is one of the biggest challenges. Then comes their sustainability. Their sustainability into terms of giving a mother 3,500 rupees for 8 hours is one of the biggest challenges. And now coming down to their personal aspirations of the mothers that are coming to the institution. Some of them were graduates, some of them were 10th pass, some of them were 8th pass only, but some of them were postgraduates also. So we have tried to take a mix and match of that into the every system. We have, let's say in one shift, we have placed one postgraduate, few lower workers, so that there is a mix of all the women in that particular group, and so that the leadership is being developed inside them. We have tried to give them 2 technical workers, that is for 8 hour shift, called as Deputy Child Health Supervisor. She is the one retired nurse or an ANM from that institution only, and she has been taken. Yes, ma'am.
So, now that you spoke of challenges, could you just tell me which public health management principles you would apply to solve these challenges, and then you can go on to tell me that what were the solutions you found?
It's almost a problem of systemic thinking. We have tried to take the system as a whole. We have tried to solve this lower finances, the administrative challenges at the state level, where they are not willing to improve on that, and the quality of care, which is ultimately resulting in a public which is trying to tell you, everybody, even the people, those who are unknown from the public health system, will give you a very on face kind of an idea as to JSY was just fishing out the money to the people, which is very, very wrong. You cannot say like this, like a poor woman getting 1400 rupees is not luxury. It is a very, very low amount of sum she should be getting. If you will try to understand that even if she is going to take a rest for 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, 60 days, you cannot sustain by 1400 rupees. That child, that is a precious resource of my community. I cannot let it go on waste for a few rupees. So I am trying to consider that as a bigger challenge into systemic thinking. We are trying to understand as to how I am going to involve this woman into the entire system. How am I going to change the system's thinking towards the customer, the beneficiary? Even if you want to tell me, I would say allot 5 to 10 rupees per woman that is coming to your institution. Whenever she is entering to the institution for the first time, just give her a rose, say namaste to her, give her a cup of tea. She has taken a lot of pains to travel to that distance to come to my institution. Say her thank you for that. Let's show her some respect. She is a mother that is coming to my institutions, and I am really humbled by her coming to my institution. She is an opportunity that it is an opportunity she has given to me. I'm not giving her any opportunity. She is the one who is giving me an opportunity to serve her. Now that is coming down to systemic thinking. Because of that, most of the people, even the lower strata of the people, those who are earning, even if they have got some amount of money left, what they would do is they'll first try to go into the public, private institutions, burn their money, and then come to the public institutions when they are actually papa. So we try to involve that and try to tell that anyone can come to the institution, and we'll try to give you a better scientific care. We'll try to give you a solution. We are trying to give you a solution with entire systems involved in it. We are not trying to give you a differential kind of, we are trying to decode the science and trying to provide you to the science through a community dialogue. I'm trying to give you a mother that understands your language, that understands you. She's going to give you the message in your language. So that is the entire thinking was there. And I have also got good results of it. The people, those who are having, let's say, 10,000 rupees a month salary in that particular institution in and around, they have started coming. They have understood that these women with the pink coats, they are giving better services. Now the institutions have improved. The small amount of flexi fund that we have tried to place it in the hand of our managers, for the cleanliness, for the care of the mother, for just providing some cleanliness equipments and let's say some surf or some Lysol or something for the mother at that point of time to clean the wards and things. Things have improved dramatically. That has actually given the confidence to the mother to come to my institution and say with pride that yes, she likes the institution, she likes us, and she is happy with the child, and she's going back as a happy beneficiary. That was the objective we achieved. Other than that, I would say if I want to speak to you about numbers, they are always debatable, but that is a smile I have worked for. But yes, basic objective, if you want to tell me, first initiation of breastfeeding within half an hour or 1 hour of delivery was so low. Even my institutional delivery was 87%. Even at the time of 2007, 2008, I'm showing 87% of the institutional delivery. But my first breastfeeding hour is hardly 30%, 40%. That was a low hanging fruit, I thought. Zero dose immunization was so low and so pathetic. But in institutional delivery, it shouldn't be so. It should be 100%. We have tried to achieve around 90%, but yes, zero dose immunization was achieved. Her care, her counseling as to how to do the exclusive breastfeeding, the timing was gone. The timing was lost if she's gone from your institution after 3 days. We have tried to tell the mother, and I think that has changed a lot. That is because at the institutional setting, even if the attendees or the person, those who are attending the mother, either the SAS hai, or the mother herself of the woman, they would listen to you more and they would understand more that it is not coming just from a doctor or a community worker, it is coming from the institution itself, which is a high-ranking institution, a tertiary care institution, so that imbibes well into them. These are few things we wanted to achieve. Though the scheme has been discontinued by the NRHM and they didn't want to have this in the name of finances or something like that, but I still say we have still a long way to go into connecting our community to the facility, because these are two different environments. They don't understand each other. The facility doesn't understand the community doesn't understand the facility. I need a person there at the facility who understands the community, so that that communication bridges gap. And a lot of misconceptions arise out of it, and a lot of blame game goes on back into the community and community back into the hospital. So I think that is what we wish to, that is a challenge that we try to bridge on.
And so thank you for the session. I just wanted to know how you finding the course overall, if I say. How you find it?
I get very less time because I have a lot of work. But I do get, as you can see, but whatever time I get, I really try to hang on to things. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you about a few of the things I'm passionate about, that is mother and child care. But it's fantastic speaking to you, Anisha, and it's really, thank you very much.
So, like, how are you finding the teaching style and teaching methods as such?
Some of the lectures I really found interesting, especially the one that one the beginning. I don't understand. I don't remember the module exactly, but when I was reading about and listening to about the systems outside the across the world.
Global health systems. Yeah.
Yes, that was very interesting to me, because I work in various diverse settings, and that was very important for me to understand and learn. It's fantastic.
Okay. And how are you finding the tutor and interactions with the tutor and everything? Just wanted to.
Perfect. This is the way to go. This is the way to go. We are a community. We are closely linked to public health. Something I know, something you don't know, something I'm trying to take up from the courses, and something I'm trying to improvise upon. That's how we are connected. We are public health fraternity at the end of the day.
Yeah. So, any other feedback for course improvement or for the course?
Not at this point of time, but we are regularly interacting. So, if there is any, I'll definitely get back.
Okay. And any two good things about the course that you would recommend it to your colleagues or someone to join the course?
Surely, because this is the time when we have to go for online things, and we have to go for online learning. There is no possibility of anyone now like me. We cannot go to any institution and sit down for hours and take any lecture. This is very important that we have to change and improvise our learning on these kind of platforms, like you are there, I'm speaking to you on Skype, and this is an opportunity we'll never get unless not otherwise. That's the idea, and I really like this idea.